Welcome to the inaugural Webinar Wednesday of 2023. I am Chelsea, and I am joined today with Audrey, who is, I guess, a little Brady Bunch style below me, if this is how the layout works. So, hey, Audrey. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I see that many of you have already found the chat, which is so exciting. So usually I'm embarrassed. Usually when it's just me, I'll go through and kind of say hey and respond. But so many people are turned out and have already entered the chat that I think it's too many for me to actually go through. So hello, everyone. Yeah, please let us know where you're from. I see some North Carolina, represent. Florida. Audrey, where are you?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. We got any West Virginians here today? Make yourself known. All right. So, hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. All right. Tevin says a special hello to Audrey. So, yes, tell us where you're from. Tell us how you're doing today. Tell us what you're working on. So, I thought that this would be such a great topic to start the year off with is your ultimate authorship plan. Now is the time. We are a couple weeks into January. How are those New Year's resos going? I hope still strong. I hope that they're still going well. So we're all excited to learn today, to hear from Audrey. So a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. Today's session will be recorded. So if you have to hop out early, if you find yourself joining a little bit late, not to fear, you will get a copy of the recording to your email, and we will put this on our YouTube channel in about 24 hours as well. If you have questions, so Audrey has very kindly offered to answer your questions. So if you have those, you can see in the chat, we have the chat that many of you have found. So keep the conversation going. If you have specific questions for Audrey as we go along, please drop those in the Q&A, and we will grab them as we finish up towards the end. All right, so if you are ready to rock and roll, then I will go ahead and introduce our fabulous speaker that is, again, kicking off our year. We're so excited to have her. So give a warm welcome, clap around your computers, to Audrey Hughey. So Audrey designs planners, writes fiction, and works diligently to help her fellow authors. That is y'all. Although she currently writes horror and thrillers, she's as eclectic in her writing taste as in her reading. When she's not submerged in the worlds of fiction and nonfiction, she's caring for her family, enjoying nature, or finding more ways to bring a little more light into the world. We could all use it. Your friend and mine, Audrey. Welcome to the stage. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. And thank you to Chelsea and Lulu for putting this on. I was just thrilled to be able to do this with y'all. And I got to meet the team in Las Vegas last November, and it was so wonderful. So thank you guys. I'm so glad you showed up today to join me as we talk about how to create your ultimate authorship plan for 2023. So let's take it away. This is what we're going to cover today. I want to honor your time. I want to stay on task. So I'm going to talk very briefly about who I am, why I love planning, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about effective goal setting, nimble planning, and creating systems for success. And then we'll move into questions so we can have a really, really good conversation about how you can implement these tactics, these techniques, and tips for planning in your life. All right. So jumping right in, I'm Audrey Hughey, again, fiction author, planner, creator. I have been writing for as long as I could write, writing stories and telling stories from before I could write. I have my bachelor's of arts in English. I have my master's in ancient and classical history. I've been writing for magazines, and I'm actually writing. I just got accepted on the staff of Indie Author magazine as well. So definitely look for my articles there. It's a great magazine. I'm always sharing. I'm always looking for opportunities to speak, to present, to share whatever I have that can make everybody else's life easier or more joyful. I love planning because it is how I was able to do freelance writing or freelance work and writing while also raising two little kids, going to school double and sometimes triple time. I was able to get my bachelor's and my master's in about 5 years of educational time with my GI Bill. So I was able to get both degrees in that time frame with my GI Bill, and that's it was a race, but I was able to really focus on the most meaningful things in my life and get that done and not feel like I was sacrificing my family or fully sacrificing my income to do it. And I didn't have to give up my writing either. So that's why I love the power of good planning, good flexible planning. All right. So setting effective authorship goals. The first thing we have to do when we're setting effective authorship goals is we have to make sure they're authentic. Then we look at how they're possible. And then we make sure that they're super focused. So what do we know about authentic goals, or what can we do to make sure they're authentic? Well, first of all, look at, are your goals internally motivated? Are they motivated by you? Are they modeled after someone else's goals? So a lot of people say, I want to be a 6-figure author, or I want to be a 7-figure author, but they don't want to look at what that model or that person that they're modeling their goals after, what their life looks like day to day. Perhaps you want to spend more time with your family, or maybe they enjoy working 60 to 80 hours a week on their writing and marketing, and you don't want to do that. You want a little more time freedom, or maybe, everybody would like 6 or 7 figures just from their writing, but is that what you need to live the kind of life that you want? And to determine the kind of life that you want, I highly recommend doing a day in the life exercise, whereas you sketch out your ideal day in the life. How much time would you spend writing each day? How much time would you spend taking care of yourself and working, whether that's working on marketing to get more royalties, or whether that's writing or doing something else to pay the bills while you work on your passion projects when you're writing? What does a day in the perfect life look like for you that really brings you joy and makes you feel like you're living a life of purpose? When you do that, you can figure out your internally motivated goals. And once you have those goals that really fit you, your dreams, your life, then you can kind of take from those, what are the most impactful milestones or objectives you can achieve in just this year to get you closer to that ideal life that you want. So I would think about really, really doing this exercise. Do this exercise, figure out what your goals are going to be. Again, it doesn't have to be 6 figures and 7 figures like everybody else. It doesn't have to be a book a month. A lot of fiction authors think they have to write a book a month to be successful, but that's actually not true. Or to make six figures. You don't actually have to write a book a month to make 6 figures. It can be a fast way to do it depending on your audience. But again, think about the kind of life you want to live day to day and what it would take to get the kind of outcome you want with that method of reaching that, for example. Let's see. So anyway, I would love to hear if you already have your authentic goals. Go ahead and drop it in the chat. If you have authentic goals that are based on your life and your needs and your family. So next, let's look at what's possible. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the old acronym SMART, setting SMART goals. I think it's an acronym, but it's a good start, but I don't think it really is flexible enough to help us set effective goals. So realistic is also kind of it's a mojo killer. I don't want your use or consideration of realistic to blunt your passion or be this kind of fear-based way of planning. I want you to think about what's possible. You have this one amazing life to live. I want you to think about what is possible for you and what you would like to achieve, because you always have the potential every single day to strive and to make little changes to lead up to the kind of life that you want to live. So the caveat for getting realistic is, I don't want you to think, okay, I made $0 in royalties last year, and this year I want to make 7 figures. Okay, that's not impossible, but the likelihood of it happening is slim to nil. So I want you to think about what you can reasonably accomplish this year when you harness your passion, when you have your clear destination and your direction is laser focused. And looking at your calendar, this is one of the biggest things you can do. Think critically about your own pace when writing, editing, and publishing. If you published 1 book this year and you want to do more in the series, I wouldn't say you could go from 1 to 6 books in a year. Okay. But maybe you have a different situation this year. Maybe you have a different job or you are going to be a full-time writer. It all depends on your calendar. Think about your pace. Think about how much time it takes you to do these things and set up your calendar. And make sure you're front loading your calendar with things like vacations. If you're a parent, think about your kids' school breaks and vacations, weddings, reunions, all the things that we have to plan and prepare for or take time out to do and take care of that actually impact our ability to, or how much time we can allocate to writing and publishing each day. So think about those things, account for those things when planning. I actually, and this is what I do with my planners, it's why I created them. I needed a whole life planner. So all of my stuff goes into my writing planner, every aspect of my life, because I want writing to be an integral part of it. I don't want it to be separate. It is part of my day-to-day life, and I keep it that way by making sure everything is planned together. So I wanted to share this example with you guys. This is my 12-month project schedule, and the first thing I do is I front load things like vacation, writing retreats, the 20 Books Vegas conference. I front load these things and my deadlines, and then I fill in my projects around them. Not just my writing projects, but also like I have promised someone that I would do some editing for them February, March, and April. So I'm going to go ahead and do those things. I'm putting that in there. That's a commitment. That's really important to me. And then I'm going to fit in my writing projects around it. And I'm actually working on finishing up the whips that I have so that I can really get into epic fantasy next year. So that is my big, meaningful set of goals this year, is finishing up the whips and preparing a clean slate so that I can move forward with my fantasy with a fresh mind. And once I completed this at a pace that I know is actually a little bit slower than what I can go, I really built room into the schedule for me to take it slow for my pace and slow for my life, because I'm getting help with my toddler. I have 5 kids, but only the toddler isn't in school. And I'm getting help with her, so I know I have my mornings free. And this schedule actually gives me room to make sure that I'm taking good care of myself mentally and physically, as well as getting time to have other means of joy in my life, like horseback riding or hiking or whatever it is that will bring me joy that day. So even with this schedule being what it is for me and for my life, I'm planning on completing 5 short stories this year, publishing 2 more planners, writing 5 novels and editing 7, because 2 are already written and just waiting for editing. I'm attending 3 writing events. I'm doing also freelance work and continuing with consistent, intentional marketing. So this can seem like a lot. Don't let this make you think you have to have a lot, but this basically includes my day job and other things that I do to make an income to support my family. So this in my writing is the thing that really brings the most of that in. So if you do have another day job or your writing is kind of really part-time right now, just make sure that whatever you do for your 12-month overview for this year fits your life. And that's the biggest thing. Make sure that it is customized and unique to your life. Yours doesn't have to look like mine, and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Yours should not look like the person next to you. So anyway, I hope you guys like that. What do you think of the project schedule? Let me know if having like a map like this would be helpful. Kind of, like I said, putting in the vacations and the big events and the deadlines really help me spread out my writing projects so that I'm not getting overloaded in any single month. So once you know what your goals are, they're authentic, they're internally motivated, and then you can get really focused, because you need clarity in order to stay focused. It's really easy, I think, to get dragged down into the day-to-day stuff, especially actually about this time in January. A lot of people start losing steam about their goals or about their resolutions, like Chelsea mentioned. Your resolutions can start to lose steam, and we really don't want to lose steam. But it's hard when you're like, oh, well, now I have to do social media, or I got to send a newsletter, or I have these other things that I need to do. It can get easy for your most meaningful goals to get lost in the day-to-day shuffle. But what helps with this is prioritizing my goals. So even if life goes sideways, even if things don't go to plan, then as long as I have my priority, which I actually keep my targets on the wall right next to my desk, so they're at eye level, and I know it's like kind of watching me. I know that every single day I know what the most important thing is that I need to do in order to achieve that list of things. It's really important for me to get those short stories out. It's important for me to get those works in progress out so that I can do that big fantasy project that I really want to do that's like eating my brain from the insides. But it's always in my mind, and I know my fellow writers, you guys know what it's like when there's a project that you really want to get to. So as long as I know my priority, it's a lot easier to not let that day-to-day shuffle get to me. I know what I need to do each year, what the top priority each year, quarter, month, week, and even day is. So today, this is my top priority, is putting on a good workshop for you guys. I hope you love it. That's my top priority. And tomorrow, I have writing as my top priority because I want to catch up on writing after I kind of spent a lot of time just practicing this and making sure that I'm putting together something beautiful for you all. But yes, so I really want to know every single day, what is my most important thing that I need to do, and how does it fit into my bigger goals for the year? How does it fit into the big picture? I never set a goal anymore. It took practice. But whenever I'm setting my daily priority for the week, when I'm doing my weekly planning, I think very actively about, how does this fit into what I really want from life, the kind of life that I want to live, the positive impact that I want to have on our community as writers, and, what I'm trying to do this year to grow and to level up to where I want to be. So think about that. Prioritize your goals. Not everything can be number one, but your number one should light you up. It should be that spark of joy that keeps you going. There should never be a day that you don't feel like achieving that awesome goal that you set. And I also like to use the term objective or milestone because it can be a big milestone that first time you get to $100 in royalties or $1,000 in royalties or $25,000 in royalties. Those are really great milestones to reach, and they can spark that motivation in you to keep going even when you wake up and it might be an off day that you just don't feel it. But if you think about that milestone and that goal, and it's the most important thing of all of the things you could want to do, it keeps you moving, even on the bad days. So anyway, I wanted to also speak a little bit about balancing progress with passion. I think that's where we can really win. When we keep our progress related to what we're passionate about, then we're not going to get stuck in burnout. If you're constantly doing things that aren't lighting you up, or you're feeling stuck, you're feeling like you don't want to do this thing. If you hate math and you decide to be an accountant, you might get burned out. So think about that. But, if you say you hate romance, for example, but you're like, oh, but I make so much money doing this, then maybe you need to balance it with another genre and another pen name that you really enjoy so that you are balancing your progress and towards your goals with the things that you're passionate about and that bring joy and meaning into your life. All right, so here's an example from me of balancing progress with passion. Like I mentioned, I really want to prepare to do this fantasy series next year. But I have books completed sitting on my hard drive and gathering digital dust, and I don't want them to just sit there. They could be out there making readers happy. So it's really important for me to finish up my thrillers that are works in progress right now and my romance that are works in progress. As much as all I can think about most of the time when I'm in the car or, doing those things when our story ideas really spark is my fantasy series. But I know that if I keep jumping from project to project, I'm not going to make the kind of progress that I need to make in order to hit my goals, not just for revenue and royalties, but also as an author. It's really important for me to build my backlist and make sure that my readers are getting what they've asked for, what they've been waiting for, and what I've promised. I'm sticking with my commitments, and I'm using the fantasy project as my reward for getting those whips done and out. So I hope you guys like that example. Again, passion plus balance equals progress. Or passion plus, it goes either way. It's algebra. Word algebra. So nimble planning is something I couldn't wait to share with you guys today. So nimble planning is a term that I haven't heard before, but I was coming up with. This is something I really want to lean into teaching this year and sharing, is the idea that after so many years of creating these planners since 2017, I realized that a lot of people think of plans as like set in stone. Once you set it, if you don't do everything on your plan exactly how you planned it, then somehow you failed. And that just makes me really sad, because then a lot of people are walking around feeling this guilt or feeling guilty when they don't do something they plan to do. So nimble planning is a way of saying right from the get-go, stay flexible. Don't let this be something that, if I don't hit this when I said, then I'm going to beat myself up. I'm going to talk negative. I'm going to just throw in the towel. Planning doesn't work. Planning should really be something that evolves with your life. The only constant is change, and therefore I think our planning should be adaptable, and it should be able to evolve with us. And adopting a flexible mindset can actually improve your resilience and grit. It's something that improves your bounce back, I like to say too, where when you have something that sets you back, or you have a delay, or there's a big obstacle that you need to figure out, your bounce back is your ability to say, I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to take it in stride, and I'm going to get right back on the road, and I'm going to achieve this, because your goal or your objective isn't just a dream or a wish. Treat it like a destination. It's driving from one city or one state to the next. You're going to get there. Maybe there's delays, maybe get a flat tire, but it doesn't change the destination. It just changes how long it takes you to get there. So think about nimble planning as a way to remain really flexible. And one of the ways I do this is by using my favorite pens. I have these wonderful friction pens. They're erasable. Use erasable pens. If you have digital planners, then you can just go in and change the plan. One reason that I love and I created my planner because I couldn't find a writing planner that actually incorporated the business aspect of writing, which is really what I want to do. So I created it. And I actually have in there, I integrated monthly reviews so that you can see what's working, what's not working. And if your goals need to change, you have space and you have the encouragement to allow your goals to change and to adapt the plan to your life that has evolved. Especially for women who do have children like me. When I found out I was pregnant for the third time, I was like, oh my goodness, I wasn't planning on this. And I gave myself about 20 minutes, 20 minutes to feel really like, oh no, this is going to change things, before I said, that's okay. I make flexible plans. So I can change the plan. I can tweak my plan to fit this new blessing in my life. So think about it that way. It's not that even if you miss a deadline or something like that, that's the nice thing about being self-published. If you are self-published, is you can set your own deadlines, and hopefully you're not doing that with pre-orders, but no matter what, it's not the end of the world. There's so many things that could be perilous to your existence, and missing a deadline isn't really one of them, even though it's called a deadline. Okay. So, but definitely think about nimble planning, and that frustration, Michelle, is absolutely natural. It's one of those things where we have to say, okay, what part of my life changed, or what obstacles did I face and what lessons can I carry forward from that so that I have a better expectations, or I can be more adaptable, or I set better deadlines in the future, or expected release dates. If we can learn from our obstacles and learn from our delays, then that helps us with the whole concept of nimble planning, because then we can plan on the go, we can change things, we can be resilient as life throws those curveballs. So let's see here. It is easier than you think to do this nimble planning, despite the frustration. But again, taking those lessons forward, I can't overemphasize it. When things go sideways, as long as you know what that top priority is, that number one thing you're working for, you can overcome your obstacles. You can overcome delays. You can still take care of what needs to be taken care of. I definitely did not know how much work went into a Kickstarter when I did mine last year. And so there were delays, but the thing was, I kept my people updated, I kept my backers updated, and I delivered extra goodies. And I knew that, okay, this is how I need to adjust things in the future. This is how things need to happen for this next project. I need to have this done first, and here's how I set things up and plan them out to make sure that I don't have that problem again. And as long as you're communicating with the people who support you, typically they're there to lift you up. They lift you up, and they just want you to do your best and share your best with them. So let's see, accounting for the foreseeable. This is one thing that I've seen a lot of people do, where they're not actually putting in those foreseeable things that they have going on until I ask about it. So I work with people one-on-one. I do lots of workshops, and I do group workshops in my private groups and in my Sprints and Spirits writing group. But when we do these workshops, we'll say, I'll go through people's goals with them, and I have them do that project map for the year. And I ask, okay, well, where are you expecting your challenges? So ask yourself that when you're doing your project map, or when you're mapping out your year, where can you foresee some challenges? Well, I actually have this event planned for this time, or I don't know when I'm taking my vacation. Okay, so maybe the first step to finishing your plan for the year is nailing down your vacation times, or making sure that you're not setting any release dates or deadlines or dates with your editor or cover designer ahead of when you'll be done with your vacation. So maybe set it for after that vacation time frame, if the vacation time frame is flexible. Or if there's a wedding that's going to happen sometime in the spring, you don't know when it's going to happen, but you're going, or you're helping, then there should be some allowance for that in there. So if you get done ahead of schedule, great. But then don't set release dates or dates with your editor, important deadlines ahead of those flexible times. You don't have to know all the things in order to set a good plan. And I know that sounds backwards, but it means that you can take back some kind of peace and let go of trying to control everything. A lot of times people need to know all the information because they want to feel some bit of control, but there's so many things out of our hands. It's so much easier to say, you know what, I have to accept that it's out of my control, and I have to just move forward with what I have. This is my plan based on what I do know. Okay. So don't let not knowing dates stop you. Just let it guide you in making a more flexible plan. You can always publish ahead of a pre-order or release date, but it's really hard to move that back. And if you have a pre-order on Amazon and that goes sideways, or you miss that too many times, then you can lose that privilege to pre-order. So keep it flexible. I will say that 100 times and it won't be enough, but keep it flexible. Review your plan and your goals regularly. One thing I have in my planners is I'm always encouraging people to say, to look at their goals that they set at the beginning of the year and say, okay, what has changed? Do my goals need to change? Or can I get a little more specific about, drilling down what the result is of achieving that goal? Let your goals evolve, let your plan evolve. Reduce your stress by not or by being okay with not coloring in the lines all the time. I want everybody to use erasable pens or pencils. But the idea is the same, whereas if something doesn't go to plan, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Plans should be a guideline, not a pass or fail test, just a guideline. So you are always working toward what is most meaningful for you. So I want to help you create a customized system for your success this year. So this really involves planning. It doesn't matter if you use paper, digital, printable, whether you're just using a calendar. You can use, I know a friend of mine who uses Outlook. It looks like a big Gantt chart, and she just uses Outlook the whole time. You can use Asana. I love using Asana for projects and for putting in my project dates and keeping track of progress. It's fantastic. But whatever you do, go ahead and find something that can help you plan out your year. Start with an overview and then front load those dates into each month. Front load like your deadlines and your projects. And then schedule regular reviews. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, mid-year, yearly, whatever it is. Use your phone or your calendars or your planner or all three to schedule reviews of your plan, your goals, and what tools you've been using. If you find that a paper planner doesn't work for you, that's okay. You've experimented with it. You don't have to force it to work for you. If you're just not feeling it and it doesn't feel like it's becoming a habit, even though you're trying, then maybe digital is something that will work better for you, or just a calendar, or a tool like Asana or Notion. If something like that works better, as long as you're experimenting, reviewing the tools you're using, and evaluating how effective they are in helping you, then you can actually set up and suss out a system that works for your needs. Everybody has different needs as far as when it comes to planning and the tools that they use. Also, accountability. Your friends, your writing groups can give you the kind of accountability that will help you stay on track with your goals, help you stay on track with your reviews, and they can cheer you on through the year, which can help you go on, especially when you get into those muddy middle times where you just don't feel like anything is working, or you feel unmotivated, or you've lost sight of what you've said is most important. I know my writing accountability partner and I have been meeting for about 3 years now, and it has been so helpful to have someone who can say, hey, you said X was your most important goal. What are you doing right now? And it's so nice to have that feedback of someone who's willing to be honest with me and say, nope, you said this is your goal. What's going on? And either I can explain that my goal has evolved, or I can say, you know what, you're right. I am focusing on the wrong thing. I got a little lost in the forest, lost along the way. But the biggest thing about creating your own ultimate authorship plan is that it's not supposed to be looking like anybody else's. It has to be unique to you. It doesn't have to be complex. Set your authentic goals, set up your system for planning and reviewing, get really clear and focused on what is the most important thing you need to do. Prioritize those goals so you have that roadmap to guide you throughout the year. No matter what happens, no matter what crazy stuff happens in our lives, medical or otherwise, we know that this thing is important to us, and until the plan changes, which is okay. But if writing and publishing is an integral part of your life, and if growing your revenues is an important part of your life, think about what you need to learn too. I actually add learning as part of my monthly plan into my planner, and I know, I bought all these different courses and I want to make sure I get my money's worth. So I use them and I make a plan to use those. I put them in my monthly plan at the beginning of each year, and that's what I spend the month working on, a little bit at a time, so that I don't get off track with my writing goals. I don't get off track with my projects or my client work. I just make sure that what I'm doing fits for me and share what can help others. So my biggest thing to share with you too is if you want a different year that's better than last, you need different inputs. If we keep doing the same thing we've always done, we're never going to have that change that we so desire. So you have to be willing to step a little bit outside of the box, experiment, figure out what you can do differently, figure out what can be a little bit better, and think about what you can do to experiment and achieve those goals that are the most meaningful and important to you. Does anyone have anything that they've looked at, or has anyone asked that question? What did I do last year that could have gone better? Or what can I do better this year than I did last year? For me, it's really getting consistent with my social media, because I know that's a great way for me personally to connect with my audience. And I've had a lot of fun connecting with readers on social media. So think about that. Ask yourself that question. What can you do better? What can you do differently? If you could change anything about last year, what would it be? And how can you apply that to this year? So think about that. Anything you need to make a better year, make that part of your plan. But focus goals, make a plan, build your systems, and that will get you so much farther than any other system by itself. So does anybody have any questions? I didn't want to go over, so I tried to keep it short. Again, I want to honor your time and make sure that you get the meat and potatoes without getting any fluff. So
Audrey, thank you so much. I learned some new terms today. I like the muddy middle. I've definitely found myself there. I didn't even know it. And then nimble planning, which I think is just a fantastic way to marry your goals. I mean, this time of year, it's so hard. Everybody's like, do it, be the best, new year, new you. And then you just feel like such a failure if you don't carry out, or you miss a day, and then you are so overwhelmed by that, you just fall off track completely. And so this has been such a helpful conversation for me, because I feel like this is the conversation you need to be having at the beginning of the year. Is that it's not going to go perfectly every day. Yeah. I mean, January 1st might go well, January 2nd, but then on the 3rd, you get that phone call. On the 4th, your kids are running around, or your dog gets out, or whatever. So I just so appreciate, it's just so human to think, hey, that you're going to have a holiday, or that, you're going to have birthdays to celebrate, or events. Put those on the calendar too. So Thank you so much for including that.
Yeah. Progress over perfection, right?
Yes, always. All right. So everyone go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A. I see that a few of you have already done that. So thank you so much. Right off the top, I'll just say that there will be a recording of this. So don't worry if your pencil is on fire, or erasable pen, hopefully, that you're trying to take notes with. Then the recording will be up within 24 hours, hopefully by the end of the day today, on our YouTube channel. You can find that link in the pinned note. All right. So Michelle is saying, what is a realistic timeline or amount of time to get your book to the finish line once you've submitted it?
Once you've submitted it to Lulu?
I'm not sure, Michelle, if you want to drop in some clarification, but maybe just start with the basic. Can you say a good timeline for if you're writing a book, or if you're preparing a book?
Well, if you're writing a book, I think a lot of first books can take a year or years. My first book probably took like 2 years to feel like I had really gotten it polished and the story structure was solid. But I wrote 2 books during the summer of the pandemic. I was supposed to be finishing my thriller, but it's really dark stuff. So with the pandemic going on, I was like, I need something happy. So I started writing romance, and I wrote the first 50,000 word book in 45 days. And then the second one I wrote in 18 days.
Very
exciting. It was crazy. I was like, I never thought I could write that fast, but I was really into it. I had done my outlines with Romancing the Beat. But the whole point of that is to say that each project is going to take you a different amount of time than other projects. My thrillers take a long time because it's research intensive, and it's a lot of dark material because it has a really dark subject matter. So it's emotionally draining because I have to deal with that. Being a writer, I can visualize the things that I research. So, but each project can take a different amount of time, and the type of project can dictate the time. Each person knows their own pace. For me, I know that I have to push really hard and not have a lot going on in order to get my 2 other thrillers done, each in a month. That's why April and May have basically nothing in them, because those are thriller months that I want to get those books done and off of my plate. But my romance books, I know I can go through those fast because they're fun, they're sweet, they're like lighthearted, they're happy, and I know I can get those done in no time. So it depends for each person what their writing pace is. I also have, like I said, I have help in the mornings with my baby. She's 15 months old now. And so I have those mornings. And I also try to get up 3 or 4 in the morning with my husband. While he's going to work, I get up, I get my day started, and I can write before I have to get the older kids up for school. So I know I've set time into my day, not including my client work. I do that later in the afternoon after the baby goes down for her nap. And then, I have my day set up, and I even experiment with that sometimes, to make sure that I have writing hours. And I actually like to do sprints and calculate my words per hour or my words per minute so that I have an idea of what my pace is. And then I can calculate. I love math. I love easy math, I should say. But I do, I like to calculate what my pace is going to be. And that helps me set deadlines with my editors. So.
Okay. Well, no one feel intimidated by that. Audrey's obviously superhuman, doesn't need sleep, and has 48 hours in a day. So
I go to bed at 8:30 so that I can get up at 3.
That's very impressive. 8:30 in the morning is when I would need to go to bed to get up at 3. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that answer, for that question, Michelle. And so Michelle was asking, she did send a clarifying question that she's talking about when you upload to Lulu. So I would love to hear from you, Audrey. Obviously you upload, and then what is your process of getting a proof copy? Or once you upload, do you just kind of send it off to the races immediately? Or once you submit it to be published or publish it on Lulu, what's your process for kind of making it available for sale after that?
Yeah. So I do a ton of checks before I upload it to Lulu because I want to make sure it's perfect. So I have people who proof with me, and I also take any pages that I need to with my planners. For example, I take any pages that are changing or that have a lot of text, and I print them off and I read them at home with a red pen. Of course. And I go through them by hand. And I also triple check my page numbers and my dates because I do those manually with my planners. And I spend more time proofing than I do editing and creating, just to make sure that it's perfect when it goes into Lulu. Now, with new projects, I order that proof, and I typically choose the fastest shipping available. But with my planners, I already know that I'm good when I go in 5 or 6 years down the road now. So I'm really comfortable with those. But all other projects and like my hardcovers, I order that proof and I get the fastest shipping available. And I love how with Lulu, Amazon has this ugly bar across it if you get a proof copy, and I don't have to deal with that with Lulu. I really appreciate that, by the way. So
awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's nice to hear. I was going to say, well, here's kind of our what we say and what we say the business, but I was like, actually, you're here. Why don't you tell exactly what you do?
Yeah, I mean, and I love doing it. I love how it's so much less time to do this process with Lulu.
Yeah, well, we're obviously very happy to have you. And so Leonardo is asking, would you be willing to share your writing/business planner? And if you want to kind of talk a little bit about that, I'll be happy to drop the link in. So anyone that is interested can pick up a copy today.
Well, this is my baby right here. So I personalized mine with a Pusheen sticker. So it's really cute. It's got the kitty and he looks all fierce. So anyway, but this is my planner. There are 2 different covers for the dated version, which is the 2023 Authors Planner. This is the Pens and Watch cover. And the one you see on the screen is the typewriter cover, but the interiors are the same. When I was creating it, I realized that there's so many people who have different styles and aesthetics. And I know that if you love your planner, you're more likely to have it on your desk, keep it with you, and use it. And having a system and using a system are two very different things. Having a system doesn't mean you're going to use it. Only using it is going to make sure you're actually gaining all the benefit from it and making that progress that you want. So, and here's where I write out, for example, my stuff. I have this whole box here. I put out my words written. I have my top priority, like email set up, my Lulu Webby presentation. I have that for 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, but my daily top priority is right in there. And of course, I tab it. I create beautiful tabs for it, but there's marketing sections. There's a My Vision section to help get that whole day in the life idea down. I have a section where you can list out your manuscripts. And one of my favorite things about the My Manuscript section is this little question that says, what makes the story special? Like, why is it important to you? And I actually have to sit down and write coherent sentences about why a project is important. And that really helps me get that fire back for finishing that manuscript and for putting it top priority and keeping it top priority and not getting shiny object syndrome.
That's a great tip. And I love that your planner was ready. The actual planner that you're using, that you're selling, you use. So that's
I would not be able to manage all of my stuff and all of my passion projects without this baby.
I know. I think that's such a great exercise to have because, when you're writing something, it can just get, you get to that point where you're overwhelmed. It's like, hey, you're supposed to love it. That's why you're doing it. So I think that's wonderful. So yeah, I dropped the link to Audrey's planner in both chats. And we also have a special discount code for you guys that I will share at the end. So let's see. Thank you for that question, Leonardo. And Laura is saying, how did you get started with writing for magazines?
Well, I actually, when I moved to West Virginia, I'm originally from Michigan. Hey, Christine, I saw you're from Michigan too. But I wanted to start writing again. I finally, my kids were still babies, but I really wanted to write. So, and I thought one way to get to know my area is to do like an article. So I pitched to a local magazine. I said, I'd like to do an article on 5 panhandle drives because we're called the Eastern Panhandle. And so they said, yeah, go ahead and do it. And I couldn't believe it. I can't remember why I pitched to it. I've always been a Writer's Digest fan. And I think I had gotten their, they have like a whole reference guide on how to do submissions for different types of publications. And one was for writing. Oh, I was doing my writing, my bachelor's degree at the time, and in one of my writing classes, one of the exercises was to pitch to a local magazine. That's what it was. So I did the scary thing and I pitched and I thought of my topic and I explained my strengths with, I have some map skills from my time in the military and from the jobs that I've done. So I said, based on my understanding of geography and topography, and I think I can identify the best drives in the Panhandle for people who are new here. So it was a great way to see my local area, to get to know it, to drive the back roads, because I'm definitely a country girl. And they loved it. And they said it was one of the articles that they got the most comments or reader feedback on ever. So.
Oh, that's a great origin story.
I know.
It was pitch it. That's a great idea. And have a good idea. So you had an excellent idea and obviously do kind of what would be in line with their content.
Yeah. And it was all about the local area. So staying local. And then I was able to write with them for about 18 months. And I was able to meet so many amazing people in the local community doing things for the community. So I think your local magazines are the best place to start pitching and to write for, I would say, a good cause, highlighting grassroots issues. And we have a high school that is one of 50 or less than 50 in the states that works with NASA.
Okay.
And so they built a real life replica, like a life-size replica of one of their shuttle landers. So they were recognized nationally for their work. And it was so wonderful to highlight that. And the program leader, the teacher, he just couldn't be more thrilled. He said he was so touched by the way I did the article. And that lit me up. I get goosebumps still just thinking about it. Like, because I got to highlight, something that's important to his life and his students' lives.
Yeah, use your writing for good. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And thank you for that question. All right. Next question is, how did you decide how much of your book to post on Kickstarter? I guess I'd be afraid that someone might duplicate my ideas.
Yeah, I think, well, if it's a direct imitation, it's a problem. But I know that when I first published the Ultimate Authorship Planner, and initially it was called the 2018 Authors Journal, because I didn't know much then. And I learned and I evolved, but it was the only thing like it. There wasn't anything there were writing, track your word count, but there wasn't, hey, let's figure out the marketing. Let's treat this like business. Let's get really serious and incorporate writing into our entire life. So now you even have one called the Ultimate Planner, or the Ultimate Author Planner, which is hilarious because mine's the Ultimate Authorship Planner. But there's only so much you can do, and imitation isn't the real thing. And I know I'm not for everybody. So if somebody tries to take what they do see in the Kickstarter and they duplicate it because they can't come up with their own idea, they're not going to do it half as good as the originator can. They're not going to follow through, and they're going to disappoint people. So when you come up with your own ideas and you do your own thing, you're going to do amazing things that nobody can replicate, and especially not with the passion that you bring to the table.
That's an amazing answer. All right, Arlen, you heard it here first. So don't be afraid. Go out there and give your original idea. No one can do it like you. So Thank you for that question. All right. I'm going to do a last call for questions as they come in. And Carrie Ann is saying, do you have any suggestions on software to scheduling social media posts?
Yes, if you're talking about Facebook and Instagram, I would go straight into Meta Business Suite because they have a full content planner in there now, and scheduling native through them actually gives you higher visibility when they put your post out. So yeah, I would do Meta Business Suite for both Instagram and Facebook. It's highly functional. It's got great capabilities, and it's just super easy. You can do it ahead for a long time, and now they have content libraries, so you can reuse things. You can look at all your statistics I don't know. I guess there's Tailwind for Pinterest and things like that, but mostly I've had most of my success on Facebook and Instagram. Well, Facebook group and Instagram. So I just stay there and stay native because the app prefers it. So.
All right. Thank you for that question. That was very helpful. All right. So yeah, as a reminder, we will post this to our channel. I see some of you guys asking that still. And someone said, you plan in a sauna? So I don't think, I think a sauna is the name of the tool, or maybe you do plan in a sauna. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life.
That might not be nice on the planner, the paper planner though, but Stan also asked, was a planner produced at Lulu? Yes, it was, but they didn't put the tabs in. I keep begging them for tabs, but we'll see. We'll see. No, I just got Avery tabs, like they're Avery Ultra Premium tabs, because a lot of times when you look up tabs on Amazon, what you'll get is actually page flags, and they're flimsy, whereas these Avery tabs, which they have metallic, they have normal colors. I get the pastel because I'm a little girly sometimes, and these are nice, like cardstock paper tabs. So
yeah, that's a good pro tip. Yes, until Lulu gets tabs, hopefully they'll listen to Audrey, so hopefully we can get that to happen. But that's a really good tip to get those tabs, and it's very helpful, I'm sure. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in Audrey 10 is the code if you would like to pick up Audrey's beautiful planner. It's incredible. Obviously, the person who made it uses it, which is always a great endorsement. So excited to see that. So if you have any other questions, drop them in. And a couple people were just asking how to follow up with you, Audrey. So tell us where you can be found and what you have going on next.
Yep. So I have a website, audreyhughey.com. I just got that, baby. So
Congratulations.
yeah. And I am at the Right Services on Facebook and Instagram. And if you look me up on YouTube, you can find me there as well. I try to post videos and do helpful things. I want to start doing more author interviews this year to share, to have people share what's worked for them as far as writing faster or improving their writing or selling books, because we do have some USA Today bestsellers in our group, in my author group, and they have tips to share. So, and I can also put my email address, because I see a couple of people asking for my email. I can put that in the chat. So
you are willing to share, please do. And so, Audrey, if folks want to work with you professionally, is Audrey Hughey the best way to find you? Would you prefer they connect with you on social or just email you directly?
a social, I love connecting on social or on my website. So either way, I'm flexible. You know, it's my favorite F word. So flexible is my favorite word. And I just love meeting people where they're at, because I know that a lot of people, they just need a little help and then they can fly.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I feel very inspired. I know everyone else on the call, we've got such great feedback, and so appreciative of you, Audrey, and your time. Thank you so much for giving us some insights on how you're doing what you do and just making it so approachable. And like I said, human. You're mixing the goals with the chaos. You can't have one without the other. Life is not perfect. So thank you for making it feel like that's okay to have off days and how to be agile about that. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. I so appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. I hope that this is a fantastic kickoff or continuation or re-motivation for your year and your January. We'll see you back here next time. Audrey, thank you again, and have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.